think your score's probably more closer, but overall be interesting. Next game, let's move along here to the Ireland and New Zealand game. And you're up here first.
Alrighty. So,
Why is this so hard for you to predict?
I'm going to do something a bit fancy.
Okay. Are you actually taking the Irish here?
I'm going to take the Irish.
You're crazy.
Because of the fact that if I get it right, then I've done well. If I get it wrong, then the Kiwis have won it. But I'm thinking the way that Ireland played up against Japan...
Oh, don't do that. Don't try and make yourself a winner either way here. You're taking Ireland and you're taking the L massively if Ireland do lose this game. Don't you give me this New Zealand win otherwise.
So I'm saying Ireland by less than 5 or the All Blacks by less than 10. I'm saving myself a little bit, but I am going to say that after the way that Ireland played against Japan, if that backline works as flawlessly as it did in that game, up against the All Blacks, they are going to have their players back in, of course, Bowden Barrett coming back in there, Geordie Barrett, anyone with the last name Barrett, other than those two. Scott's playing for Taranaki at the moment, mate. He's not there. But they have got a little bit of a low amount of locks available at the moment with Retallick and Whitelock, but veterans in that locking duo. But then I'm looking at that front row. Scrum penalties going the way of Ireland, and I think that that's going to knock over a few extra 3-pointers. So I'm going to say in this game, that's going to be an absolutely incredible one. 28 points to Ireland, 27 to the All Blacks, or, because I'm drawing a circle, the other game, it is going to go 35 to the All Blacks, 25 to Ireland.
You're taking Ireland. You're not taking the All Blacks 35 because you're taking one scoreline here, Hamish. You're not doing this. I've seen you do this many, many times before on this podcast. You're not getting a half. You're not 50-50.
But if Ireland win, I get deported.
You're getting
so
28 to 26 here. New Zealanders, just remember that just remember that this man right here has just predicted the New Zealanders to lose. Now, I'm going to take the All Blacks, but I'm going to throw this out there as a option because obviously you're allowed to do it. So I'm going to throw this out there. Option is that I don't know how Ireland are going to play because they played Japan. You know, what I was saying during the review of last week's game on this podcast was that I thought that Ireland were good, but I also saw Japan were woeful. So I want to see what they're like against a good team. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying Ireland can win this game if they play like they did. But then again, that would assume that New Zealand are just as bad as Japan. So I have no idea how Ireland goes this game. Yes, I saw a comment on the Rugby Down Under Podcast YouTube channel talking about I posted in the comments saying that we'll refer to this on the podcast it was from Paul Howard talking about Munster, Leinster and Ulster and how they basically they're the best teams ever and that the Irish team are going to be the best team ever. And I'm just like, yeah, cool. Okay. I believe that Ireland are a good team, but I'm not guaranteeing shit until I see them against a good team like the All Blacks. And that's exactly what we're going to see this week. I'm going to back in the safe option here of the All Blacks. I'm going to go and say 28-21, but you know what? I'm going to say 35-21. Okay. I'm going to say 35-21. I'm actually a bit more confident in New Zealand than most, but in the same sense, look, Ireland definitely could win this game if they play like they did. I'm just not willing to back them in until I've seen proof yet. Like, yeah, cool, you're great at domestic level. I'm not willing to back them in until I've seen proof, and Japan is not proof. Japan's still Japan's still 10th. Probably, I would rank them as 10th overall. I think they're a good team on the day, but obviously we've seen they can be a bad team on the day. So once I see Ireland play a good team like New Zealand, then next week I'll either give them the credit they deserve or I'll come back and I'll refer to them and say, yeah, listen, they're not exactly the greatest team based on that.
Something as well that Ireland have got in their favour is the fact that more than likely they will go with a very similar backline and 4-pack to the game up against Japan.
Yeah, but New Zealand's defence isn't going to be as woeful as Japan's. Japan's was disgusting.
But you're going to have possibly all 6 names changed in that All Blacks backline from that last game, which does mean you've got that little bit of extra time to adjust. And Ireland, we've seen that they can start a match extremely well, which I feel like is where they're really going to be able to put on the pressure. Definitely in those breakdowns. Tyke Furlong, he likes to step people, but he's supposed to be a prop. Tell him that, because he will just go around everyone. And it is just going to be that battle that is won in the forwards, and then the finesse of the backs will be determining things. It's going to be James Lowe, I believe. He might be marking up with Will Jordan, which could be an interesting one. to see how it does go. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And hopefully it is a close game.
Absolutely. Well, I want it to be a close game. I'm just, like I said, I'm not willing to back them in until I see proof of it when they play a good team, because I don't want to just focus on domestic form to tell me what an international team is going to be like, because then that would mean the Wallabies will lose every single game for the rest of history, because every single Australian Super Rugby team is terrible. So let's move on here to the next game.